Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of VAAS Live. I'm Seth Jones, co-founder and lead instructor here at VAAS. Along with me is our very own humble wizard, master draftsman, and all-around amazing man, Mr. Chad Nuss. Chad, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. That was a great intro.
I
Appreciate
was going to say,
that.
with an intro like that, how could you not be doing well? I mean,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll take that every day.
that's awesome. Well, we hope that you join us this evening and you've got your sketchbook, your quills, your paints, your pens, your pencils, whatever it is that you're working on. We hope that you join us for another wonderful episode of VAAS Live, where we create together and put the conversation and creativity. And the whole goal, if you've never joined us before, is that we just have a talk and a good time. We talk techniques, skills, art history. We get a lot of questions about different things such as AI integration into the fine arts. We get a lot about what's it like on a creative journey, how to break out of artist block. Chad, we've talked about it all, and we're on, I think, episode 37 now. And we
Yep.
just continue to find amazing things to chat about, and it's usually thanks to all of you. So as you jump in, as you join us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, wherever you're watching from, make sure that you chime in, let us know you're here, ask us questions, and hopefully create with us, because we like to chat and have the long conversation. The joke is it's never the short answer, it's the long one. So I hope
That's
you're ready
right.
to join us. We're going to dive in. Chad, we know what you're working on, but if they haven't seen it before, what are you working on and how's that going?
Yeah, so I'm on page 6 of volume 3 of The Silence, which is my graphic novel series. And yeah, last week I got to a point where I was getting pretty frustrated with it. I couldn't quite figure it out. So I went ahead and did a second drawing as far as of this spaceship, trying to figure out how to get this kind of extreme perspective view of the ship. And so I did a side view. I didn't really get a chance to work on my drawings for this week. So I'm picking up where I left off last Saturday, and trying to make some adjustments on this page, and hopefully by today get it to a place where I think I'm happy with it. It's getting close. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. I kind of flattened it out a little bit, and so it looks almost like a boat coming right at you,
Ah,
which I'm a bit happier with. And I think it looks more like the ship that I originally drew. As far as I can show you, here was the side view that I worked on last week. There we go, and that's this ship here. So here's from kind of the bottom looking up view. And then this is the side view. And now I'm trying to do a page where it's coming right at you. So different angles, trying to get the same ship is a real challenge. So I think one of the hardest things about comic book art and drawing is doing the same character, the same environments from all different angles. Especially when you get into characters, if they have an emotion or the expression on their face or whatever, and you have to carry that over several different panels from different angles, that is a real challenge. And so drawing this ship from different angles is right up there with a very high degree of difficulty for me right now. So that's what I'm working on. How about you?
I'm just continuing on my oil painting here. This is progressing pretty well. I'm really excited to be able to work on it tonight, because with our current course schedule, I don't know when I'm going to be able to work on it. And so you and I have talked about how selfishly we love these VAAS Live episodes, because it gives us a chance to create and sit down and make sure that we paint on the projects that we want to work on. And I'm really excited for it. And Chad, I kind of want to go back to what you were saying, though, about the challenges of that, because you are now teaching this semester a character design and development class, and you're practicing what you preach, right? I mean, metaphorically speaking, of course, in the sense that, hey, if you're struggling with something, figure it out, right? And I don't mean that rudely. I mean, but like, hey, you can work with your character rotations, you can work with some of your design elements to process it, because this has been a challenge for what, 3 episodes now? Like this shape of this ship just
Yep.
has not come to fruition the way that you envision it. So you've processed it, you've worked it, and I hear you say this a lot to your students. I mean, am I accurate there, or am I a little bit off base?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, students, like even today, I was thinking about, one of our students got really frustrated with their drawing. They felt like it wasn't very good. and they ended up like basically crumpling it up and throwing it away. And I tried to tell her, like, no, it's okay to make bad drawings. I do it all the time. And so my particular style is more for realistic comic book work. And so that's different than cartoons. And
Yeah.
so when I go to demonstrate a cartoon drawing, it's not at the same level as my other type of drawing, just because I don't do that as often. And so I did one today, and I tried to show them. I said, see, look, like the quality of this drawing is not as good as the other one, but I'm not mad about it. I don't get frustrated or like whatever. I just know, okay, this is something I need to work a little bit more on. And it's okay. It's okay to make bad drawings. We do it all the time. And it's okay to struggle with a drawing. I think sometimes for a lot of students, they don't understand that part of the reason why it's called work. When someone says, let me see your work, it's because it is a lot of work. And sometimes it's a lot, very frustrating work. But the people that are successful are the ones that push through and figure it out. So, yeah.
I agree. That's awesome. Well, everyone that's jumped in, oh my gosh, everybody that's over on Instagram, thank you. Everybody on Twitch and X, you guys are amazing. We're so grateful that you guys have joined us in. Ask us questions. Let us know what you're working on. We know we've got a lot of individuals that are creating with us. Tell us what you've got going on. It's going to be an exciting evening. We got a couple hours here where we're just going to create together, and hopefully you guys got some questions for us. Chad, I'm incredibly excited to see how this semester goes. We've got a lot of wonderful students, a lot of great classes, and I tell you what, if you would have told me that watercolor would have been one of our most popular mediums, I don't know that I would have believed you. But boy, we've got over 20 some odd students taking watercolor classes this semester, and it is exhilarating.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm not a big fan of watercolor, but I know a lot of people love it, and I mean, that's good on them. You know, I love charcoal. Not everyone loves charcoal, so you know, it's every artist is a little bit different. Excuse me, is a little bit different, and yeah, it's awesome to see all the excitement over that class.
Now, I will say though, you may not get it, but I'm very fortunate in that I get to teach 2 of your children. And let me tell you, I think they're enjoying watercolor.
I know.
I might say I think they did very, very well. They exceeded all my expectations.
Yeah.
And I think they may be getting the watercolor bug.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. It's awesome.
Dun, dun. No, it's been for those of you that don't know, we teach art lessons out of the Louisville, Kentucky area. We're the Visual Arts Academy and Studio, and we're a very academic focused art studio and art academy, teaching everything from traditional fine arts, traditional techniques, but also some contemporary things as well. We don't shy away from some of those elements either. But what's really wonderful is that we get to see the advancement of student work, right, Chad? Like we get to see students really hone in on their skills, see them grow, see them develop. And that's just incredibly exhilarating. And so if you're not from the local area, we hope you're joining us live. But if you are local, come by, take a tour, see and meet the team and the staff. Come and check out our lounge area and sign up for a class, because I think you'll absolutely love it. It's been an amazing experience to see people's growth week in and week out, month in and month out, semester in and semester out. And it's just been an amazing experience to see it all come together. And we're grateful that we get to do it together, you know, as a team. I think it's just been a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, it looks like Matt is on. Matt Griffin, hello. And he has a question. Do you want to get that one?
Ooh, let's see this one here. Okay, so we got a question here. Matt, how are you, buddy? Great to see you. Thanks for jumping on as always. How do you learn photo editing, and how do you edit photos? Boy, let me tell you, I wish Thomas were on right now. Thomas actually has a degree in photography, and I'll be honest with you, Matt. We really kind of came into fine art education, or our art education, when Photoshop started coming into major play. Photoshop had been around. I was very fortunate. My uncle had actually, he kind of, I don't want to say predicted, but he read the writing on the wall, so to speak, and realized that digital was going to become a major player kind of in the, I want to say the mid to late 90s, maybe, Chad. And, you know, everybody was giving away a free copy of Photoshop. You know, everybody was giving that kind of free disc away, trying to get the word out. And I started learning it because of that. Now, the reality is I had no photo background. And so most of the tools, Matt, that were used in digital photo editing are steeped in traditional photo skills, right? Dodging and burning and chemicals, things from the dark room. And I have no information or knowledge on any of that, on how to actually do legitimate darkroom editing. Thomas could explain that to you in detail. And then I ended up getting trained a little bit at SCAD because it became part of your process of your foundation courses. You had to take some digital editing tools. And I really love it. But still not foundationally trained in photography, if that makes sense. But there are so many tutorials now. And if you just get any kind of software, a lot of them will come with classes built into that software, Matt. And so it's a great way to kind of dive in. There's also digital courses for photo editing. There's all kinds of stuff that you can kind of jump in and do. I currently don't use Photoshop anymore. I use Procreate. That's what I do for almost all my editing now. We are going to be offering a Procreate class, hopefully this winter semester, I hope. And so that may be a good opportunity to kind of learn some there. But Chad, I don't know if you've done any photo editing or not, but that's kind of how I learned. It was part of our curriculum in college. And we dove in. We were doing Photoshop when you still had to use a mouse. You didn't have a walking tablet, and you didn't have a digital pen. You didn't have a stylus for sure.
Yeah, when I was back in my day, I graduated from college in 1998, so that'll tell you something. It's over 27 years ago. We actually did have a darkroom class for photography, so I do remember using the darkroom, but it was just a level 1 class, so we didn't do a whole lot of editing or effects or anything like that. It was just basically learning how to take good photographs, good composition, that kind of thing, and then just develop your own film in the darkroom. That's it. There was no like doing special effects or editing or anything like that.
Right.
And same with us, like Photoshop was a very new thing. I do remember when it first came out, along with Illustrator, and it,
Yep.
just like any other technology, when it first came out, it was so clunky, but it was so fascinating. It was like this new thing that you could do so much with. So yeah, and I've never really learned Photoshop, but Photoshop is very unuser friendly in my opinion. I've tried to dabble with it a little bit, but it's like I've found with other programs are much more user friendly. So like if I ever use digital, which I do sometimes for the comic book as far as editing and putting in dialogue balloons and all that kind of thing. So I'll use Clip Studio, and
Yeah.
it's like 100 times easier than Procreate. It's like, or not Procreate, Photoshop. So it's like some of the things you can do on Clip Studio would literally take like 5 or 6 steps in Procreate. I keep saying Procreate, I'm sorry. It would take like 5 or 6 steps in Photoshop to do. And I just was like, why do people love Photoshop? I don't get it. There's so many other programs that are so much easier to use.
More
But it just
intuitive.
became the standard, and for whatever reason, everyone just goes to Photoshop. But there's other programs out now that are just as good or even better.
Well, I think a lot of times Photoshop is still the powerhouse, right? Like Photoshop still has the most robust tools. I think they are incredibly robust. And if you're doing really high end work, it is a phenomenal tool. But I would agree with you entirely, Chad, that I think there's other software now that is much more intuitive, much more user friendly, right?
Yeah.
And it's more accessible. That doesn't mean that they're not robust, that you can't do a lot of things. Because Matt is asking, can you still do a lot of adjustments? The answer is yes, you can. I mean, you can even do animation now in Procreate. But it's like, Photoshop, Adobe continues to push the bar. Like, have you seen some of their new animation assist things, right? Like you can VO record and video record yourself talking and then plug that into your 3D model for your character. And then it'll match your voice and the mouth movements. You no longer have to animate individual mouth movements, right?
Yeah.
Like, so Photoshop is an incredibly versatile, robust tool. I just don't think if you don't have the time to dive in, like entirely, it's clunky. It's challenging.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother language you have to learn. I mean, there's so many steps involved with everything. But yeah, I mean, stuff like it. I feel like an old boomer when you say, you could just plug your voice into it and it basically does the mouth movements for you. And then I'm like, well, then what's the point? If you're the animator, like, that's part of the challenge of animation, is creating mouth movements that are realistic. Why, and here the computer's just doing it for you. But I understand how that can be a helpful tool for some people, but yeah. So,
Well, especially if you're like a small, like I've thought about it, like I'd love to see my Ragamuffins cartoon animated. You know what I mean? Like that's always been a dream of mine, but I'm never going to be able to, well, I shouldn't say never. I'm most likely not going to be in a position where I can hire out a full-blown animation studio. But
yeah.
if I were to take the time to rig out my characters, I think for people who are really motivated and really want to try to push and do those things, I think it's a cool concept, right? And I know that there are animation studios out there that are plugging in these tools to speed up their processes,
Yeah.
and so from an industry standpoint, it's probably really valuable. If I don't, well, maybe valuable is not the right word, but it's really important or beneficial. But from an independent user standpoint, it's not, the UI is not easy,
Yeah.
to say the least. But it's just like, oh, here's a good example. Matt, you may appreciate this one. I used to teach video and film in high school. It was a course in high school. And at the time, you had Adobe Premiere. Premiere was the peak editing software. Well, we had a grant and we were able to get Macs. Well, on Mac at the time was Final Cut or Final Cut Pro. And so we were utilizing Final Cut Pro as editing software, and it was incredibly robust. It rivaled, at this time, this was years ago, it rivaled Adobe Premiere, Matt. And you were kind of in two fields. You either used Adobe Premiere or you used Final Cut Pro. And I taught Final Cut Pro. Well, 4 or 5 years later, they revamped Final Cut Pro, and all it really did was become a more enhanced version of iMovie, right? Like it wasn't nearly as robust as I remember the older versions being. And I think they just found that their niche market was going to be more so the independent user rather than like, these big Hollywood effects industries, But to me, that's kind of how I feel about Procreate. I love Procreate. I think it's very user friendly. I think it's very accessible. And I've really enjoyed learning it and using it. And it is a pretty robust tool. I don't know if that helps answer your question or not, but again, it's the long answer. So Dum, dum, dum. I will tell you, I appreciate painting folds, but I'm going to be glad when I don't have to paint folds again for a little while. And what's really sad is this is only one of 2 blankets. So I still have a whole nother blanket to go. And I'm not incredibly excited about it, because I feel like the other blanket is actually even more important than this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw Matt's comment. He goes, essentially, YouTube becomes my friend. Yes. Now, that being said, like I mentioned, a lot of these software companies have done a really good job, or at least in my opinion, a really good job of releasing content that's supported by them, if that makes sense, right? Like, like it's not just some random user, it's super users or content generators. So you're getting really good instruction, or you're getting really good guidance. And I think that's huge, right? In the world of independent creators, having the manufacturers or the software developers provide you with some insight, I think is huge. Because I remember, and Chad, I know you know this, Matt, you probably know this too. It's like back in the day, there was no information on it. You loaded up the software, and there was maybe like a welcome introduction tutorial, and then that was it. You were on your own. It was mess around, play with it until you figure it out. And that's really daunting and really intimidating. So the fact that these companies are making it a little bit easier, or even YouTube, I think that's a wonderful thing. Still time though. Still takes time to invest to learn it and to do it. Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. Get that dress done, get the folds done, and then celebrate, because they're beautiful, right? And when you do them well, it's fantastic. But boy, it's exhausting. Perhaps not the most fun thing to do. But as the young whippersnappers might say, Matt, it is a flex if you can do it well. Is that right? Did I say that right, Chad?
Yes.
If my daughter's watching, I think she probably just cringed or passed out. You know, that's how times are changing, because I remember like my grandfather looking at me going, "Why are you saying bad? That's bad's not good." I'm like, "No, Grandpa, you don't understand. It is. It means it." He's like, "No, it does not." And now I realize the pain and agony he was going through.
Oh, that's funny.
I think it's something every generation probably goes through, Chad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the change of words, the change of usage. You know what doesn't change much, though? The universal language of excellence.
Oh, that was so profound and poetic.
Ah, thanks. I'm sleepy. But it's true, though. I tell people all the time, I have a lot of respect for those who can achieve anything at a level of excellence, right? I don't really care what it is. I think that's one of the reasons I get so enthralled with the Winter Olympics, because of curling. It's like they're shoveling a stone down an ice path, and yet they do it so perfectly. I'm like, there's no way. This is phenomenal. And I just get hooked, because it's like the most random form of excellence. You know what I mean? Like, but it's enthralling. Excellence is exhilarating of any kind, or at least to me. And that's probably why I enjoy watching you work, Chad. I'm watching poetry in motion and excellence in practice. You're welcome.
That was so pretty.
Oh, and look, hold on. Let me throw this up here. Take a look at this. Oh, here we go. Yes. See, Matt, you and I were on the same wavelength, buddy. You and I were thinking the same thing. Nice job, good sir.
You guys are so sweet.
We are. We are nice guys. You know that? You hear that, Matt? We need to record that. Screen grab that. He said we were nice.
No, I said you're sweet. Very different.
Big difference, huh? I'll take sweet. Speaking of sweet, we still have a jug of sweet tea in the fridge that I don't think is ever going to get consumed.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I like hot tea. I don't really get much in the sweet tea.
Me either. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, boy.
How'd your classes go today?
Amazing. Absolutely wonderful. I have some incredibly talented young artists that are just so much fun. And it's so funny, because they all come in and they're super excited. And then you go, "Hey guys, we've only got like 10 minutes left of class." And they're like, "What? No way."
Yeah.
That's not right. And then, it's exhilarating to see the parents, because the parents are excited because they're supporting their kids' passions. And, and they're like, they're so excited to come to class every week. And it's just, we're just so fortunate to get to do what we do, Chad. I mean, how blessed are we, really? I mean, it's just an amazing experience that VAAS has continued to grow, and we continue to support, a lot of young artists and adult artists. And I think we're just incredibly fortunate. It's just a wonderful experience. And those kiddos today just really, it sounds silly, but they just bring me so much joy. It's just so joyful to watch them draw and paint and to be excited by it and to know that this is, kind of one of their quote unquote things. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many options in the world today. There's so many options. And, and I like video games, and I like books, and I like movies, and I'm a big sports guy. And it's okay, I think, to like a whole bunch of different stuff. But it makes me happy that art is one of their things, like it's still something for them. It's something they're passionate about and want to do. And, and it is exhilarating to know that this is still relevant for a younger generation. Creativity has no limits. Creativity is timeless. And the methodology used for creative solutions, maybe that changes, right? Maybe that's Procreate or, Photoshop. Maybe some of that is AI. I don't know. But the reality is kids being kids, telling stories and creating characters or drawing dinosaurs. That's another thing. I had a young man come in, and all he wanted to do was draw dinosaurs. And I was transported to almost 40 years ago, because I used to just want to draw T-Rex all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and so I'm like, some things just don't change, And it was cool. It was very good. And of course, I started the color theory class, which was which was awesome but challenging, because color theory, I think, is challenging, but at the same time, I want it to be fun but educational. So we're working on a studio style color theory. So we start our first full project with our color schemes, our color harmonies, I should say. And so they'll be starting those next week. So I'm really curious to see. The first day was great, right? We went through, foundational elements of the course and everything else. But next week they start their full-blown first project utilizing color harmonies. And I'm excited to see how that is executed and how that goes.
What is their project that they'll be working on?
So what I'm doing is I'm providing all of them with a similar concept, because again, it's not a drawing class. It's not even really a painting course, right? We're utilizing different mediums and materials throughout that course, but I'm going to provide each one of them with a canvas and a subject. And so it's going to be the same subject. I don't want to give it away because I know a couple of them watch. Brendan, I'm not giving it away until class, brother. But the idea is I want to see how their own intuitive nature of color. They're going to pick a harmony. So you could do a complementary, a triadic, a split complementary, a quadratic. You could do all these different harmonies that we're going to go over and discuss. Yep. And then they're going to pick one and then utilize it for that painting. So each person's painting should be completely different, even though it's the same subject, right?
Yep.
At least that's the hope and the goal.
That sounds amazing.
And that's the first go around project, and I'm excited for it, because I think color harmony is one that gets people engaged, because you get to see how do complementaries act. Okay, I understand they're complementaries. How do they work within a painting? What does a split complementary look like, and how does that work, right? We aren't doing a monochromatic simply because I have a whole project that's going to be for monochromatic. But I think it's going to be a really fun experience for everybody that's in it. So thanks for asking.
Well, you're welcome.
You've got a couple of incredibly talented students. Is it more challenging when they have a higher degree of execution, or is it easier because you can kind of articulate things and they go, yep, I got it, time to move on? Or is it challenging because you're like, okay, now what do I give you?
No, I think it's a little bit easier because, well, there's pros and cons of both. I mean, I think, the person that comes in that maybe doesn't have as much experience or, whatever, but they're eager to learn. I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. If you're eager to learn, it doesn't matter what experience level you're at or how much talent you have or however you want to say it. I think if you're eager to learn, that's what makes teaching easy. Um, but I will say, if someone like I have a young man, he's a little 11 years old in one of my classes today, and I explained something to him, and I just kind of watched to see if he could get it, and it was just something simple. I mean, we're doing a gradation bar, so you're going from darkest to light, and you're layering over different types of lead. So I always have them start with an H, which is a hard lead, and it's very light pencil
Yep.
work, and you just do that, and then you start with a 5H, and you go 4H, 3H, 2H, and then you work your way all the way up to B, and you make this nice gradation from darkest to light. But when you do it, you can't shade all the way over. You've got to let some of the lead from the previous pencil show through, and that kind of thing. So anyways, I was explaining that to him, and he just intuitively got it, and it was really nice. I mean, I've had other students that don't get that, and it's like, no, like just shade to this part, and for whatever reason they'll just keep shading. It's like, no, just
Yep.
So the students that intuitively get it and they work hard and everything, it's awesome. But the ones that are maybe don't get it, or there's a little more challenge there or whatever, that's also awesome as well, because you
You
get the
see the
opportunity
breakthrough.
to, and
Yeah.
you get to work with them, and I think it's just like anything. Sometimes for the students that have to work a little bit harder, uh, they have a burst of gratitude because they finally got it. Whereas the ones that are just naturally gifted, sometimes like, okay, what's next? All right, what's the next thing? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a different kind of joy for each one, right? So
I would agree.
yeah,
I think it's a great way to put that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
well, I try to say great things.
Yeah, it's true. That humbleness is always there. It's always there. One of these days, we're just going to do a stand-up routine. We're just going to poke at each other, poke the bear.
Yeah, we could call that. We could do a segment on the show, "Poke the Bear." We just
That's
30
true.
seconds, just give each
Yep.
other a hard time.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, episode 37 for 30 seconds, poke the bear. Here we
Time
go.
to poke the bear. Yeah.
Or wreck the wizard.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I got to tell somebody about how we call you the humble wizard today, and the parent just looked at me and goes, "That's amazing." And I'm like, "I
That's
know,
funny.
it's pretty good, isn't it?" I'm like, "It is. It's pretty good." And then they saw you and they go, "You were right." I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
That's so awesome. I wish I'd have known. I would have wore my Gandalf hat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I have a couple students that I told them that it's required that they call me Gandalf. They call me
That's
Mr. Gandalf, which I'll take that too.
I was hoping one of the students maybe said called you Mithrandir.
Oh, now you've lost me. What's that from?
That's one of the names he went by.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like an expert like that on that level. Those are little details I don't know about. So that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's what the Riders of Rohan called him. I thought. I could be wrong. Who's watching that knows, right? Maybe somebody out there knows, or somebody's good at Google searching. I'm pretty confident in my knowledge of that. I'm pretty certain. I was hoping, yeah. Now I'm gonna have to get my phone. Now I'm gonna have to do it. I know Gandalf. I know Gandalf the Grey. Yeah, we know Gandalf the Grey.
I'm kind of my beard's almost white. I could be Gandalf the White.
Gandalf the White. Yes, that's what they used to call me, the Grey. Yes, I am Gandalf the White. I have returned to you. That's right. They saw it they saw Gandalf the White in Fangorn Forest.
Yep. Although I think I like the Gray better in the movie
Me
The
too.
white,
Yeah.
the white was too clean. That gray he was more rugged.
Yep. And more. Yeah. He was a wizard for the people when he was Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah, exactly. When he was white, he was too like maybe esoteric or like just like just above everyone. He had a hard
Well, and I get
time.
the symbolism of it, right? Like, but okay, here we go. I'm up.
Come on,
Let's
old
see
man.
here. I'll tell you what, it's getting harder and harder every passing week. Yes, so yeah. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. In J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, Mithrandir means gray pilgrim in Sindarin, an Elvish language. It is one of the many names used for Gandalf, particularly by the elves and the people of Gondor. It was the people of Gondor, not Rohan. The name reflects Gandalf's gray attire and his role as a wandering wizard constantly traveling throughout the Middle-earth. So Mithrandir was from the elves and people of Gondor. I was close.
You were close?
I was very close.
I'll give you points for it.
Thank you. Thank you, good sir. Dun, dun, dun. I am going to apologize, sir, but I'm going to step away and get a snack really quickly. I taught 4 classes today. I'll be right back, sir.
Oh, can you get me something too? I'll put in my order.
Yep, maybe. You know what? Pretty soon they're going to have like a teleporter that I can just like send it to you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe like, oh yeah, here you go, bud. And then it teleports. I don't think we're too far away from that.
Oh, Matt says Maya, I think Maya, maybe Maia from Valinor. That's good. And Oleron, I think it's Oleron, maybe. Is his bio name? I like that. Oleron. I'll take it. Oleron. Like the way that sounds. Yeah, so Seth is gone. I get to say whatever I want. Of course, he's probably still hooked up. He can hear the things I'm saying. So yeah, I tried that last time.
I didn't turn off the speakers.
Yeah. Matt had put on there 2 other names. One was Maya from Valinor, and the other one's Oleron, which I really like Oleron. So feel free to call me Oleron too. It's really nice.
Yeah, I think that's a much cooler name.
Oleron.
Although it kind of sounds a lot like Sauron.
Yeah, Sauron's pretty cool too. It's just evil. So I don't want that.
I tell my girls all the time, we're not the evil people. We only play the good guys in the shows and everything.
Yeah.
Is my crunching too loud?
I can't even hear it. So I think,
good. Okay.
I think you should be good. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. I just need a little bit of a snack. How dare I? I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. It's like we've done this 37 times or something.
Yeah.
I am hoping we've got a couple of people potentially lined up that are going to jump on and join us. And so hopefully we can get those ladies and gentlemen on here soon and get you guys having some guest experiences, which will be awesome.
Oh, you guess? I thought you meant like tonight they were going to come on and make some comments or whatever. But you're saying some guests. That's awesome.
I'm hoping some guests. Yeah. Well, I hope we get some people making some comments as well. That would be awesome. But yeah, no, hopefully some guests as well. I think we've got a couple opportunities to bring in some people that have some great experience and knowledge and hopefully get that going. And I think that'll be a really fun time. So hopefully we can get them there. Live drawing on Thursday was awesome. It was great. We had our wonderful model, Chris. He came in and we had some amazing artists drop in and do some fun stuff. It was great. Our apprentice and assistant instructor, Layla, headed up for the first time on her own, and I thought she did beautifully. She even picked out some amazing music, so I thought it went really well, Matt. Of course, we missed you there, but I thought it went great.
There's Wave Surrenders. Says, hi, y'all, bringing some cozy lurkers and friends to enjoy some art. Well, awesome. Welcome aboard.
Nice. Great to have you join us. We hope you're creating with us. If you haven't jumped on before, it's great to see everybody. I'm Seth Jones, co-founder and lead instructor, and we've got Chad Nuss, our master draftsman. He's also an instructor here at the Visual Arts Academy and Studio. And Chad, why don't you kind of go through it since we got some additional people jumping in? What is it that you're working on exactly? Because if you haven't seen this before, Chad has 2 existing graphic novels called The Silence, and he's working on book 3. So why don't you walk us through it there, Chad?
Yeah, so I'm working on page 6. So you can see trying to get this spaceship at the right angle, the right look, and that kind of thing. So it's still a work in progress. It's this here is a finished page. That's page 1 from volume 3. And that's kind of the opening shot. And then the opening scene ends on page 6, where you see the spaceship from the opposite angle coming up towards you. So this has been quite a challenge last week or two, trying to get this spaceship in the right angle and look. And so I did this other drawing last week, a little side shot of the spaceship, just to help me figure out kind of the angle on this. Yeah, so as with comic books and graphic novels, you often don't have the luxury of good references, since this is a spaceship on a distant planet. But it's one of those where you can use some photographs of like airplanes and things like that. But I've kind of stayed away from a lot of references. I'm just trying to figure this thing out. So it's kind of a a little painful, but we're slowly working on it. So
a little painful, I'd say pretty painful. But the beauty is it's really been nice for a lot of our students and a lot of you guys to see the work that's gone into this. This is something Chad's been working on for almost 3 episodes now, of really honing it in and really finding what this is. And Chad and I have talked a lot about it's healthy to see that things don't come easy or perfect right away. Sometimes you have to work through things. And I really enjoy getting to see all of your work come into this, because you teach that comics and character design class. You teach sequential storytelling. And a lot of our students are like, you guys are masters. It just must come so easy. That's not the case. You got to work through things. You got to find solutions. And excuse me. And that's the same thing with my painting. I've had to really hone in and work on some of these folds and figure out how to make this really come to life. And it's a challenge. So it's fun. It's really great to see. Nia Star 13, thank you. That's really cool. That's awesome. We're so glad you joined us. Obviously, Wave Surrender says absolutely agree. We agree with you as well. And thanks for everybody jumping on. It's wonderful. We hope that you're creating with us. The goal of VAAS Live is that you're working on your creativity and you're designing, painting, sketching, knitting, sculpting, whatever it is that you're doing. And we hope to have conversations with you guys about techniques or skills or just art history or conversations. We were just talking about different names for Gandalf the Grey. We did learn that Gondor and the elves call him Mithrandir. And then Matt also gave us about 5 or 6 different names, I think, as well. So we're so glad you joined us, but the hope is to have some conversations with you all. And as Chad works on that, I'm working on my Flemish grisaille style of painting. I'm doing this entire painting in grayscale first, and then glazing on layers of color. So as we get to this, hopefully as I get to this finished, you're going to see that come to life. And if you don't know why I've done this yellow ochre here, this yellow ochre is my tone background, or my imprimatura, my underpainting. And the goal is I don't want to paint directly on white. I like this yellow ochre. It shines through, it illuminates it. And here in 1 second, I'll zoom out and show you guys. But first, we've got Wave Surrender says, I caught the Gandalf convo when I was peeking in here. Love some Lord of the Rings. We do too. We're big fans. Of course, we're kind of giant nerds, so we like pretty much all nerd things. I shouldn't say nerd, but I I think it's endearing and I love it. So we are absolutely happy with it. He goes, we got a great question here. Matt says, are you glazing with liquid? I'm not actually glazing with liquid. I am glazing with a thinning medium that is a reduction of linseed oil. And so I'm not using liquid. I'm actually using a glaze of, of the oils and the techniques and glazing on top of it. I do thin it out. I use semi-transparent paints, Matt. So I don't typically glaze with opaque paints. You typically don't. So I'm using transparent or semi-transparent oils. And then I am kind of honing in and using some medium for that. I'm not using liquid. I'm using a linseed oil foundation for that. Let's see here. We've got Waves from. We're in good company then. Proud nerd here. Yes, I would agree. I wear my nerdiness with pride, says Nia Star. Absolutely. Hats off to you. We're with you guys there. Chad and I both have degrees in comic books, which is a lot cooler now than it was, what, Chad, 20, 25 years ago?
Yeah.
So it's that nerdiness has come to fruition, good sir.
Yeah, and just for context, Wave Surrenders, I don't know if you caught the first part of that conversation of how I've adopted the nickname the Humble Wizard, which I absolutely love, and that was actually one of our one of the people that usually gets on here and interacts with us and everything. He just in passing gave me that nickname, and it's stuck. So that's how we got into that whole Gandalf conversation. So I'm very honored to don the title of Wizard and and be in the same company as Gandalf. I love it. Yeah.
Well, and what many of you all may not know is we were very fortunate that Chad has the full movie quality Gandalf robe, hat, and staff. And we had him pose for us as a model. Oh, here we go. Oh, look at this. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
There we go.
We had him pose for us as a model for our live drawing sessions on Thursday nights. And it was absolutely brilliant. It was one of the coolest live modeling sessions we had. I mean, we've had Deadpool, we've had Wolverine, we've had a ballet dancer, we've had all this stuff. And I think everything just kind of compared. I mean, no offense to all of our wonderful models that we have, but having Gandalf there with our own Humble Wizard was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely awesome.
It was great. I loved doing it. Yeah, it was awesome.
We got to get you up on that stand again with that staff. That staff was heavy though, man.
Yeah, it's in the corner of my office right now, leaning up against the wall. I've got one of those like plaques that you can put it up. I just haven't mounted it on the wall yet, but it was pretty significant. I was surprised when it came in the mail. I was like, man, this thing's for real. So it's awesome.
It is awesome. I was very fortunate. I have my custom built lightsaber, and I love it. It's funny. We went to Disney World and walked in, and my kids are there, my wife's there, and they're all like, okay, let's go stand in line. We're going to go stand in line for this and this and this. I said, see ya. I'm out. Bye. Peace. I've got an appointment with Yoda to make my lightsaber. I'm gone. And so I booked it, got my lightsaber, carried it around the whole day. It was amazing. Love it. It was fantastic. The only thing I don't have yet, Chad, is my custom wand. So I've definitely got to go to Harry Potter World. Definitely got to get my wand. Got to get that taken care of because that's on the list for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, you could flip between Gandalf and Dumbledore.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I loved the original Dumbledore. I was not a fan of the other gentleman's rendition of Dumbledore. I felt like he was too obnoxious, too loud and obnoxious, not as well reserved as the other one.
Let's see. Wave Surrenders has a question. It says, Chad, do you ever use blues for your preliminary sketches or just start with graphite? Yeah, I never use the blue. I know a lot of people that do, but I don't really have like a particular reason for that other than when I do the inking, I don't actually ink over my pencils. So most people use, as far as I understand, most people use the blue so they can ink over it and it's not reproducible. So what I'll do is I'll actually ink on a piece of tracing paper so I can keep my original pencils. And so then I have two separate pieces of art. Of course, this tracing paper, what I'm realizing, I don't know if you can see in the background, I've got some of the pages from my former books up behind me. But the tracing paper is not great quality, so some of them have started to brown a little bit. I guess it's not archival or whatever, and it's just sitting out here in the open. And the sun comes in. I have a window that I'm actually facing right now, so the sun comes in and hits it, and so that artwork has been browning a little bit, but it's not a big deal to me, because I scan them in after that, and so I will always have the actual artwork, ready for publishing and printing and that kind of thing. But anyways, long answer for you. But yeah, to the point is that no, I just use the graphite.
And we've actually Wave Surrenders. We've actually had a couple of episodes where we've gone into detail into Chad's semi-unique inking process, because for me, I had never really seen anybody ink on top of tracing paper like that. But the way that Chad goes into it and talks about it and describes his process is absolutely brilliant. And the more I see him do it, the more I realize, man, there's actually a lot of oomph there, because you can make adjustments and you can still see a lot of the quality of it. I had always used Blue Line myself, and one of my mentors was a Disney animator, so I used a lot of coal erase pencils and used that for under drawings, especially in some of my comics and things like that. But I absolutely adore Chad's process, and we're very fortunate in the Academy. We have an original inked page, and it's awesome. I mean, it's really unique to see, because I didn't know how the ink would hold to the tracing paper. You know what I mean, Chad? Like, I didn't realize, would it sit in there well? Would it sit on top of it? Would it handle it? And it does a really nice job. I mean, it holds better than you anticipate.
Yeah, it doesn't bleed through. It's really smooth. It doesn't it dries really quickly, so it never smudges. It holds whiteout really well. So if you have to make a mistake, or sometimes I'll use the whiteout for effects, that works out great too. So yeah, and it's really smooth. So I just love doing that. I mean, nowadays most people just ink digitally and that kind of thing, but I just have had a hard time getting used to doing that. It's on glass. I don't like the feel of that. And then on top of that, there is just the smallest minuscule separation between the pen and where you're drawing. And I know, for most people, it doesn't bother them. For me, it does. I don't know what it is. I use a lot of detail in my inking and drawing, so I like to get in there and know exactly where everything is. And if the calibration's even just a little bit off, it drives me insane. So I rather just do the old school traditional style, and and that way I'm just kind of cranky old man sometimes. But yeah,
just an old cranky wizard, my friend.
Yeah, there you go.
Wizard.
Yeah.
But so, question for Wave Surrenders and okay, I was gonna ask Nia Star 13 and Wave Surrenders. So it sounds like you guys do a lot of drawing and comic creating as well. What is your process? How do you guys create? Are you inking digitally? I think Wave Surrender says pencil and ink on paper is the process I prefer too. So yeah, I mean, kind of that at this point we say old school, but it's really not. But what about you, Nia Star 13? Do you do digital inking? Do you do traditional pen and ink on paper? Or are you using something of a hybrid? What is your all's methodology that you guys tend to work in? And then Matt, if you're still on, when you go to ink, are you inking digitally or are you inking traditionally as well? I'm always curious to see what everybody's working on. Dun, dun, dun. But we're so grateful, Chad, that you share your process with us. I think it's great, and I think it's fun. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Dun, dun, dun. I've got to try to push this value a little bit darker here. I really want to make sure that this blanket is hovering back here. And this edge is a really important one for me, so I got to nail it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that when you first start drawing in front of other people, you're always afraid of making a mistake, or people think that you're not that good of an artist or whatever. But I've just come to really appreciate making mistakes now in front of people, so they can see it's a normal thing. Everyone makes mistakes on these drawings. I think I think part of the problem is you can get on YouTube and you can see like these amazing artists, and you know, all credit to them, they're incredible. Like you'll watch like a David Finch or a Jim Lee or some of these
100%.
guys do these like quick sketches, and they're just so magnificent. You're just like, how in the world? But for 90% of us, it doesn't come that way. It comes like with a lot of work, and we don't have the ability to draw 12 hours a day and get that fast. And so, you know, I'm married, I have 4 kids, I've got a job, and I teach at the school and everything. So I don't have the 12 hours a day to be able to do it. So, you know, I do it when I can, and I'm gonna make mistakes. And I think there's just something relatable about that, to make a few mistakes and make some drawings that maybe is not as happy with in front of other people. And I like that freedom. I like the freedom to
Yep.
be able to mess up. I used to be so terrified by that, but now it's like, whatever, doesn't matter. I'll
Yep.
make a mistake, I'll work on it. So
I really like what Wave Surrender says here. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you, Chad. They say, I've done a lot of digital, but found traditional is what I need. And this is the thing for me. This is what I need to get into the right flow and headspace.
yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
I agree with that. There's a different process of not staring at a screen. Not that it's completely different, but I really like, you know, that. I do all of my cartoons now called Ragamuffins. I do them all digitally, Chad. You
Yeah,
know, and so, but I agree with what Wave Surrender says here. Often when I'm not in the right headspace, I'll pull out a sketchbook, and for some reason it's that tactile feel that you just don't get on digital. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that pencil dragging across the paper. You don't. And yeah, I've got the screen protector, and I've got the pencil, and I've got all that stuff. It just doesn't quite hit the same, you know.
yeah,
Wave Surrenders goes on to say, I enjoy the process and can get into a flow of state with paper and digital. It's not the same for me. I completely agree. Absolutely agree with that. Nia Star goes on to say here, I started with pencil and ink on paper, that with digital coloring and slowly moving into digital art, but find myself going back to paper a lot. I like the texture of paper and being able to see it without a delay, and just overall the process. Agreed.
yeah.
I think digital creation is awesome. It's amazing. You know, but I think there's just this mental state that happens when you're doing something tactile, and it has a different element to it. Nia Star 13 also says, you know, Wave and I are similar in thought with our method of art. Absolutely. I love it. It's awesome. Agreed. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for jumping in. If nothing else, you helped Chad and I not feel so crazy. So we're so grateful for this group of nerds that have decided to jump in. You guys say we're so happy and grateful for it. It's wonderful. I do want to go back to Matt. Matt says, I don't ink. I'm the oddball out. I'm into hyperrealism. Mediums I love are graphite, charcoal, colored pencils, and oil paint. Well, I happen to agree with you in regards to the oil paint, my friend. Super excited. I am going to zoom out here so you guys can kind of see some of this. I want to give a quick shout out though. BJ Levis, thanks for jumping on. So great to see you. You're having a wonderful evening. Let's see here. Oh my gosh. Oh man, some of these I can't even get. Viola Westwind, so grateful to see you. Crushy by She, super happy to see you guys. All of you all, thank you guys so much for jumping in. It's absolutely wonderful. Chad, I am going to zoom out here a little bit, but why don't you see what Wave Surrender says? He gave a comment here, and I think that's right up your alley.
All right, let's see. He says, allowing yourself to make mistakes and exposing your creative process to the world takes practice and courage. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, I would totally agree with that. I mean, as I said before, most people, most artists get paralyzed by critique, or by
Yeah.
what they feel like other people are judging them, or you know, you'll draw something that doesn't come out that good, and you're like, man, I know I can do better, just like, you know, whatever. And they'd rather hide their drawing than just like sit in it. And you know, and for me, I also think I've done drawings that I'm really happy with, and so I know they're out there, I know I can do it. So yeah, it's okay if I make a few mistakes, but I definitely agree with you. It does take a lot of courage, and that's not to say like, "Hey, look how brave I am" or anything like that. It's just to say like that is a reality. Like we all struggle with just feelings of self-doubt, or just worried about, you know, what other people think of our skills and stuff like that. So
Well, and Chad and I have talked about this on, I think, you know, the earlier episodes. Chad and I both teach art lessons here at the Visual Arts Academy and Studio. And in a lot of classes, we do a lot of demos, Nia and Wave, and a lot of times those demos don't go well. You know, it's hard to do a perfect demo every time in the middle of a class, and there is some anxiety and stress that comes from that, because you go, wait a minute, I'm leading this class. I'm supposed to be the mentor. I'm supposed to be the master. I'm supposed to be the educator, the teacher, and sometimes the demos don't go good. You know, but even then, Chad, and you've spoken at this at length. Even then, that's good for the students to see in the middle of a class. Yeah. Because what we do is challenging, and it's not always perfect on the first pass. So Wave and ESR, I agree with you guys, and I think Chad is hence why we call him our humble wizard, right? Because even though he's witty and arrogant in some situations, I'm kidding, of course, it's that humble nature of, hey, I'm willing to show this to you guys. I'm willing to share this experience with you. It's just like you showing us the creation of your book 3. You know, I think this is one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to be a part of, because at some point I'm going to get to see the Silence Book 3 printed and combined and come together as a final work of art, as a final graphic novel. And I'm going to remember those pages that were challenging. I'm going to remember this page here of this ship and the process that you went through. And I'm going to appreciate the final work significantly more.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and we've also talked about how much we love seeing people's sketchbooks or sketches or the preliminary drawings and all that, you know, getting worked out. That just gives you such an appreciation for the final pieces. So yeah, I agree. It's awesome.
We've got a couple of really good comments here. I think Wave is kind of diving into something here about a process. Let's see, Chad, what do we got there? I'm gonna try to focus on this one shape here real quick.
I'll read it out. It says, I found sketching with ballpoint or brush pens has helped me accept the happy little accidents and roll with it and make discoveries I wouldn't have otherwise. And I would absolutely agree. I taught a pen, excuse me, a pen and ink workshop over the summer. And one of the assignments that I had the students do was to take, we were, for this one particular week, we were working with ink washes and brushwork. And so we took, I always mispronounce his name, but Durer, or whatever.
We took his, Albert Durer,
yeah, we took his painting of the hair and we tried to reproduce that using ink washes. And I had them do it without doing a pencil sketch first. They just had to go in with ink washes. The thing about ink washes is they're very unforgiving. You can't, once you put them down, they're down. You can't, unless you use whiteout. And I don't like to do that because it's like the same with watercolor. You know, you can fix things with white acrylic paint or whatever, but it's not the same. And so, so we were able to work on that. But the thing about that is you have to kind of embrace the mistakes you're going to make, because it's not going to look exactly like that. And as a result, you learn new techniques and new approaches, and you slow down, and you just have patience with yourself. It's really nice. So
I would agree.
Nia Star says, I have an unfortunate perfectionist bug and continually have to remember Bob Ross. We don't make mistakes, we make or have happy accidents. Yeah, exactly. I think that is one of the qualities I've seen, one of the most common qualities of our students, of artists in general, is just that perfectionism. And I think that's both the strongest and the weakest part about being an artist. You're a perfectionist because you want to get in, you want to do the details, you want to make it look right. You spend a lot of time hyper-fixating, hyper-focusing on certain areas of your painting or your drawing or your project or whatever you're working on, without which you wouldn't be able to get it done. And you also probably wouldn't be able to get it done to the level at which you're currently working. But the downside of it is that you can become overly critical of yourself and not let yourself grow and make mistakes because you just have this expectation it's got to be at a certain level. And I think over time you get to a point where you're like, you know what, that's fine. This drawing is not that great. I can redraw it. I mean, in this volume here, page 2, I've actually redrawn it twice because I liked the first one, but I wanted to fix some things. So I redid the page. I didn't like it. I like the first version, and I'm going to go back in and fix it again. So it's okay to make mistakes. That also, when you embrace that, gives you a freedom and a flexibility in your drawing, which makes your drawing even better. If you're so worried about making a mistake, you'll tighten up, and
Yep.
your drawings won't have the same life as they will if you're just free with it. That's personally why I like charcoal so much, because if you're working with vine charcoal, it's difficult to get into some of the details. So you're forced to be very loose with it and expressive with it. And I found some of my best drawings have resulted as working with charcoal. So yeah, I
Well,
totally agree. Yeah, go
I,
ahead.
I was just going to chime in on that because how often, and I'm curious if Wave and Matt and Nia, a lot of times, especially as I've been teaching over the years, a lot of students will start with this very wonderful, light, loose, energetic sketch, right? Either in their sketchbook or their paper or whatever else. And then they go to do the final work and it's now completely rigid.
Yep.
It no longer has the energy or the movement or the flow. And it's because all of a sudden they've tightened up and they're like, oh no, well, I've got to do this or that. No. That early sketch and that early energy, that gesture, that formative work had the momentum and the energy that's needed to convey what you're trying to convey. And now you're tightening up because you're pursuing perfection. And a lot of times it's the imperfections that are perfect, right? Especially in the art. And I tell a lot of our students, you have to learn when to refine and when to let it be organic, because often it's those happy mistakes, right? Which really aren't mistakes. It's just your natural creative energy coming out. And yeah, sometimes they are legitimately mistakes. I'm not saying there aren't, but there are a lot of times where it's just what comes out ends up being the better result or the better production. And then we go back in and over tighten or correct or fix when really it didn't need to be corrected or fixed. It just needed to have a chance to breathe.
Yeah, it was so funny. I dealt with this today in one of my classes. It was a character design class, and I've got some young students in there, and they kept reaching for their eraser. And this happened the other day too. I was working with a young girl that's doing drawing from reference casts, and it was first week, so it was some basic shading, working on a sphere and different lighting, and just some basic shapes to start with. And both all of the students kept using the eraser, and I finally had to take the erasers away.
Yep.
And I was like, look,
Yep.
just draw. Just stop worrying about making mistakes. Just draw, make it sketchy, make it flowy, and then over time you'll refine those lines and refine the shape and that kind of thing, and it'll become more alive. And the student today, I noticed, I said, your first drawing was very fresh and free, but once you tightened it up, then you
Yep.
lost a whole lot because you went in with the eraser. And I told him, I was like, man, next week, no erasers. You guys are you guys are tightening this thing way too much. So yeah, it's a real danger for sure.
We had I was very fortunate today to receive a nice compliment. One of our young students, their mother is an artist, and I'm pretty loud. If you guys can't tell or know, I'm pretty obnoxiously loud. And so she happened to hear a lot of the class, and at one point, her son kept erasing Chad. And now granted, he's only 7, right?
Yeah.
7 or 8, and he kept erasing. And I finally said, "Hey, buddy, it's okay. Persevere through the drawing. Work through the drawing. You don't need to erase. What you're doing is great. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward." Right? And she actually told me after the class, she goes, I almost came in there and wanted to hug you because I've been needing to hear that as an artist. That
Yeah.
I can just keep working through it on my own. I can keep processing. I keep going it. And I want to chime in on what Nia Starr says here, because Nia, I'm going to kind of get on a soapbox here for a minute, because I really believe in this very, very heavily. Nia says, that happens to me quite often. It takes me a long time to finish things due to it, and have been trying to let that go a lot more in order to have more flowing creativity. So one of the things I talk about, Nia, as an instructor is the balance of time and the return on time, right? Because yes, if you're trying to perfect a piece, by all means, invest that time, invest that energy to get it exactly right. One of my mentors, Jorge Alvarez, I saw him sand down a 6-foot by 12-foot painting that was perfection in my eyes, and he sanded it down almost to the bare canvas because he didn't believe it was perfect. It wasn't right. And by the time he repainted it and refinished it, Nia, it was beautiful. It was amazing, and it was a spectacular work of art. However, there is a rate of return on your time investment. If you're investing 4 to 6 hours to tweak this small little thing that most viewers, now you're doing it for you. I get it. I don't want to take away from that, right, Chad? Like there's this self-fulfillment that's huge too. But a lot of viewers may never, ever notice that. And that's okay if they do or don't. I'm not knocking it. But what could you have achieved in that 4 to 6 hours on another work of art? Is it better to improve that little moment? And sometimes, yes, it is. Other times, it may be best to say, these happy accidents, these happy things have come, time to move forward so that your invested time can pay off in other ways, if that makes sense. And so I think you know, because most of us, and Chad, I would include you in this, there's a lot of creative endeavors you want to do. You're working on large scale drawings. You're working on some independent work. You're doing book 3 of the Silence. You're doing some other projects. There's only so many hours in a day, and we want to be productive. Sometimes it's good to walk away, Nia. Sometimes it's good to say, you know what, this is imperfect. I'm going to walk away from it and invest this time elsewhere, you know? And then sometimes you come back with a clean, you know, a clean mind, a clean vision, and you see it. And instead of spending that 4 to 6 hours, you can actually solve it maybe 2 to 3 minutes, or, you know, 20 to 30 minutes or something. And it ends up becoming a much better process. So I'm not knocking one way or the other. Everybody works completely different, but I think it's healthy to keep in mind of what is the return on time, right? You know, what is that? Oh, thank you. Wave Surrender says, well said, Seth. Thank you. I think you have to look at that. What is the return on time? Is it, and what does that mean for you, right? So I think that's a whole different thing. And thank you guys for the compliments. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nia Star. You guys are awesome. So glad you guys have jumped in. That's awesome. What are you all currently working on? Matt, we know that you're working on some commission work, I believe. You're working on some folds and things, a dress and some folds and things like that. But tell us, what are you guys working on? Are you currently working on a project? Is it something I can go and follow on Instagram? What do you guys got going on? And Chad loves my soapbox moments. He tells me, you know what, Seth? You know what VAAS Live doesn't have enough of? Your pontification.
I'm just happy you finally said something profound.
Oh, thank you. It doesn't happen very often, but every now and then it sneaks in there. And it's so funny, Chad. You're so wise in so many ways. I've taught almost 22 classes this week, and I told Chad, I said, you know, I'm kind of tired. I'm tired for this episode, and I'm kind of sleepy and all this stuff. He goes, oh, you'll jump on, and that energy will come back, and you're just gonna, you know, that showman will come out, and it's just so much fun to do these with you. I just absolutely love it, Chad.
Showman Seth, that's what it is.
How come you get humble wizard and I get showman Seth?
That's pretty good. I like that.
I guess it's pretty good. I mean, the greatest showman, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking about. Yeah.
I just hope I hope people realize it's genuine.
Yeah, of course.
This is actually really starting to come together pretty nicely here. I was really nervous about this underside of the band for these headphones here. And if you guys, I'm actually going to take it full screen real quick. I think it shows up maybe a little bit better. Let's see if that, can you guys see this here? So this section here, boy, it's really tough to see. If you see me wiggling, I really want to make sure that that feels underneath this, this headphone bar, or I don't know what you call it, headband, I guess, because it's really got to sit, because as the piece comes together, your depth is, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose that depth. So this is actually coming together pretty nice here. I'm liking how it's coming to fruition. Hopefully I don't mess it up. If I do, I'll just say it's a happy mistake.
There you go.
Well, to me, there's a difference between something well executed, because it can be well executed and not be on purpose. You know what I mean? Things can happen and still be executed well, but yet maybe it was just your general technique or skill or happenstance or whatever. I don't think it always has to be on purpose. I think that's where mastery comes in, right? I think sometimes things happen, and that's why Bob Ross, I think, made so many people feel so wonderful, because it can still be well done and well executed and maybe not always be on purpose. That's how I feel about 90% of my portrait work, Chad. Oh, there it is. Finally, it looks like them. I didn't know I was doing it, but it finally got to where it looks like them.
Yeah, that is portrait painting, man. Phew.
Sometimes I just try different things. I'm going to put a little highlight, like what can I get to get it there,
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this. Let's see here. Wave Surrender says, I've taken some time to work on how I relate to my art. So lots of ink sketching without a plan in general practice. I love that. I love that it's just this organic experience, getting back to the fundamentals of your creativity and your expression. I think that's awesome. Absolutely love it. Chad actually over the summer did a workshop on sketchbooks, the artist sketchbook, Wave Surrenders. And that's kind of similar, isn't it, Chad? Like the idea of organically getting back to oneself and the creativity and utilizing the sketchbook as a means for that, right?
Yeah, we actually talked a little bit about that today in or not today, the other day when I did the cast drawing class, because I explained to the students that there's a difference between, just drawing a cast in and of itself and trying to get it as accurate as possible. And there's a difference between that, where you're showing your technical skill, and artistic vision,
Yep.
where you are drawing from your heart and drawing, communicating a story or a vision of life or your perspective or whatever. It's a very different thing. In fact, Matt and I just had that conversation too, because we're talking about with hyperrealism, you can draw a portrait straight from a photograph, and it can look exactly like the photograph, and there's great skill that it takes in that. But then there's another kind of art in which you're expressing maybe something through that same process. And I think
Yep.
the value of a sketchbook is that you're trying to find that artistic voice by just experimenting and just throwing things down and making mistakes. And I often told the students in that sketchbook class, like, the point of a sketchbook is not to make all these amazing drawings. It's actually to make all your mistakes in there. And a lot of times, we get confused because we'll look back at these great masters and we'll look at their sketchbooks and we'll see all these incredible drawings. And so we challenge ourselves to think, oh, I've got to fill the sketchbook with a bunch of masterpieces. No, the point of a sketchbook is to work out those things so you can find your artistic voice and experiment with things and mess up your anatomy and work through those difficult perspective drawings and that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, so.
That's awesome. I agree 100%. Nia says, picking up something for a friend I had started last year and rethinking how I approach my own art also. Sometimes deep thinking is good, especially if you get kind of into a point where you get stuck. It's where, sometimes you got to reevaluate, right? You reevaluate and rethink what the processes are and what you're doing and where you're going. And I think that's healthy. I think that's good for sure. 100%. And Wavester says, absolutely, sketching is good for my mental health as well. Being free from pressure, 1,000%. Yes, 1,000%. And goes on to say, I've spent the last few years practicing drawing with my offhand and both hands. It's a humbling challenge. Actually, Wave Surrenders, I got a story for you that you may find interesting. I think, Chad, I shared the story about the young lady I went to college with, who it was my sophomore year at university. And I finally took a class with who I thought was one of the best artists in the illustration program. She was Wave. She was brilliant. I mean, just unbelievably talented, amazing. And it wasn't until I shared a class with this artist that I noticed that they were wearing a cast on their right hand, and it had the pins sticking out and everything. So severe, pretty bad break. And finally, I approached her. I said, "Oh, what happened to your hand?" And she was like, "Oh, it was an accident. It was this challenge." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. How lucky are you that it was your right hand and not your drawing hand, your left hand?" And she looked at me. She goes, "Oh no, I'm right-handed." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm right-handed, but my surgeries are going to take like 18 months to recover from, and I wasn't willing to take a year and a half, 2 years off of school." And I was like, what do you mean you're not left-handed? And she goes, "No, I'm not left-handed. I'm right-handed." And her work was so rendered, so detailed, so focused, Wave, that you're sitting there going, there's no way that's your offhand. There's no way. And then what's funny is her and I struck up a conversation. We started discussing even further. She showed me some of her original work with her dominant hand, and it was very loose and very free and very organic and just not nearly as rendered as her opposite hand. And I said, what are you doing? And she goes, well, I figured that if I focused enough that I could produce lines of quality that I could still, finish my illustration degree. And I said, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. And it just goes to show you the perseverance, right, Wave? But it also goes to show you that humbling yourself to say, it doesn't matter, I can produce it. I see a lot of individuals who are in some unique circumstances where they're drawing with their mouth, or they're drawing with, two hands, or they're drawing with their feet even. And I'm always humbled by it, because not only is it a humbling experience to challenge yourself like you are, but it's humbling because you can create excellence in many different ways. And I'll never forget that conversation with that young lady. I wish I could remember her name. I have it somewhere. But I was blown away that she was able to produce that level of work just from the sheer passion and desire and resiliency. I thought it was amazing. Don't know if that's a good story for your Wave or not, but I love what you said. Your offhand, both hands, it is a humbling challenge. Kudos to you, because I don't think I could do it. I don't know if I could go back to using my offhand. What about you, Chad? Do you think you could use your offhand?
No.
No.
No. My hand would shake too much, and I can't do anything drawing wise, writing wise, or anything with my offhand.
It's funny because I am left-handed, and in my family, everybody else, well, I have an uncle who's left-handed, and I've got a nephew who's left-handed, but outside of my uncle, nobody else is left-handed at that age of my life. So I grew up playing sports right-handed. I grew up playing sports right-handed. So I golf right-handed, I bat right-handed, I do all these different things right-handed. And so it's a unique thing for me to play sports a different way. Ooh, we've got a response from Wave here, Chad. Can you take that one there, sir?
Yeah, it says, thank you for sharing that story. That is so similar to my story. It's wild. I developed carpal tunnel on my right hand, so pushed myself to practice with my left. Carpal tunnel set in there as well, and after surgery on both, I draw with both hands. So that's amazing.
That's amazing. What perseverance. That's fantastic.
I have a hard enough time drawing with my dominant hand.
I know it. Me too. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful. Oh, so Matt says that's funny. He's right-handed but plays sports left-handed. Isn't it amazing how that works? I mean, I just think it's so amazing how the human body, can cross over and do some things like that. I find it fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Dun, 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 dun. Speaking of mistakes, I've got to go back in and tighten this line up, because I completely just went right over an area of emphasis that I did not want to go over. So there you go, guys. Got to go back in, and the beauty of it is paint over it, right? Paint over it, fix it. It's okay. It happens.
Oh, Matt says he also writes backwards like Da Vinci.
What? I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to write in a cipher or like a code or something. I guess my brain just doesn't work that way. Or maybe I just haven't focused enough. Maybe that's it. Dun, dun, dun. Absolutely, it's a right-handed world. Well, I would absolutely agree that left-handed people are so much cooler. I happen to agree with you, Wave Surrenders. I do know some amazing right-handed people, but I think left-handed people just tend to be a lot cooler.
I agree.
Of course, I grew up being told I was wrong-handed all the time. I don't know if you guys get that. Maybe that's just a Kentucky thing. But I always got, you're wrong-handed, son. You're wrong-handed. Anybody else ever get that as a lefty?
No, I think that's just a Seth thing.
That's funny. It probably was, actually, It's all right. I'll take it. I will tell you, though, there were certain things that were very challenging for me being left-handed. Like, I still grew up in the era of cursive handwriting. And, I used to get points deducted because it would always get smudged. And I'm like, well, how do you want me to do cursive handwriting left-handed and not smudge it? I mean, really, what do you want me to do here, It's here's a funny left-handed story for you guys. I think I've shared this maybe a couple of times. When and it ties into our digital conversation, Chad. When I was learning Photoshop, it was back when you didn't have Cintiqs, you didn't have Wacom tablets hadn't come out yet. You were still drawing and painting with a mouse, and you were doing digital art with a mouse as your functioning tool. And I remember being in a course with a really wonderful professor. She was absolutely brilliant and very kind and all this stuff. But I was struggling because I could not manage my right hand. Not only that, it was the old school mouse with the balls in them. Do you guys remember those?
Yep.
And if they weren't perfectly clean, the mouse would jump on you, and you'd have to take the ball out, rub it in alcohol, and put it back in, and all that stuff. And I remember I'm like, this is stupid. I'm just not going to do digital artwork because it's not meant for left-handed people. And then she literally walks by and she goes, what are you struggling with? And I said, the mouse. And she literally picks up the mouse from the right-hand side of the keyboard, pulls out some of the cabling, and then puts it on the left side of the keyboard and says, here, use your left hand. And I'm going, oh, that's amazing. Genius, And then, so from that day on, I started using my left middle finger to left click, right? Everybody on the right hand uses their right finger to click. And so from that point on, I started doing that. And then a couple years later, I had another professor who was not quite as nice, came over and was like, hey, idiot, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm clicking. And they go, no, remap the buttons. And I remember going, you can remap the buttons? I'm like, so I can make the right clicker function like the left clicker? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm going, I had no idea. To this day, I still don't remap the buttons, but I do use a mouse left-handed. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and Wave Surrender says the same thing. Had to learn how to use a mouse with their off hand. Nia Star, same. Yep. It's amazing how we're now. So Wave Surrender's chat is going, I am also of cursive age. It's funny how this is an indicator of when we were established as people, right? Like, do you know cursive writing? I know cursive. Do you know cursive writing? It's funny. You guys are so much fun. What a wonderful Saturday evening. You guys are amazing. Thank you for jumping on and making this just a blast. We do this almost every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Again, I'm Seth Jones, co-founder and lead instructor here at VAAS. And along with me is our very own wonderful, so talented, and incredibly humble wizard, Chad Nuss. And we are a visual arts academy and studio based out of Louisville, Kentucky. We teach traditional fine arts, but we also do comics and cartooning. We do character design. We do mixed media. We do all kinds of stuff here. We've got 7,200 square feet as well as a full-time gallery. And if you're ever in the area, please come by and see us. We love seeing you guys. You guys are brilliant. And if you aren't local, thanks for jumping on. That's the whole point of VAAS Live, is that we get to share our passion, our love, our skills, and our talents with all of you guys around the world and have wonderful conversations about being left-handed and nerds. That's what it's all about, Chad. That's what makes Saturday evenings so great. So we're so glad all of you guys have joined us over on X, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You guys are absolutely fantastic. It's a wonderful evening. We got quite a bit of time still to go. Ask questions. Let us know what you think. What do you guys think of the painting so far? Is it looking good? If not, don't tell me. I'll just live in sadness if you tell me it's awful, but I'm just kidding. We still go. We're so excited. We got another 30 minutes or so until we call it wraps for the evening, but you guys have been absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to look up your all's artwork and see what you guys are doing. Dun, 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 dun. Make sure you give us a like, follow, and a share. Encourage others to join us. The hope is to continue to build the community and share art and creativity with everyone around. And we're so glad you guys are doing it with us. I got to shift. I can't do this like that. I got to move it. All right, here we go. Matt, we were talking about being excited to be done with folds, I will be glad to be done with hair as well. The challenge there is I have 3 daughters and I like to paint them. So I have a feeling I will be doing a lot of hair for a very long time. It's funny, Chad doesn't have to worry about drawing hair unless it's from his chin.
Very funny.
Are we in our 2 minutes of
funny.
what did we call it? What did we reference it? We were saying it's Wreck the Wizard, or I
Wreck the
forget what we called it.
Wizard? Yeah, I think it was Wreck the Wizard. Yeah, it's fun. I always told myself when I was younger that as soon as I started losing my hair on the top of my head, I was going to grow it out of the bottom. So that dream has come true.
I think it's wonderful. Nothing like a good beard. Wavesterner says Pacific Northwest. It might be a little chilly up there. Hopefully you got a beard too, keeping you nice and warm.
Gosh, it was still hot out today here. This is the 90s. I was outside. And it was crazy.
Yeah, I'm ready for fall. Although I did spend a number of years out in Colorado. I absolutely loved Colorado. It was great, but it was winter, still winter, more winter. Yeah. And then it was mud season because all the snow runoff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. The good thing about here in Kentucky where we're at, by the time I'm tired of winter, it turns to spring. By the time I'm done with 96-degree weather, it's turning cold again. And so I get 4 good seasons here. I really love it. I've been back for a little over 12 years now, or maybe even longer than that. Gosh, 15 years now. Oh man, it's been a long time. But I do miss the beauty of the mountains out west. I do miss the coastal of living down there in Savannah. But the great thing is luckily you get to experience a lot of different things in life and travel and see a lot of different adventures. Wave says we just got out of the heat. Oh, that jumped on me. Sorry, let me see that here. We just got out of the heat, have had a few days of cooler weather and rain. It's been beautiful. That sounds lovely to me. I love that. Yeah, that sounds great to me. I'm excited about fall because it means pumpkin carving season. I agree with that. I like my pumpkin carving. I do like a good Halloween. What about you, Chad? Do you ever do pumpkin carving, or is that kind of not your forte?
We tried to every year. I don't think we did last year, but we try to do it as a family. So we do like the pumpkin carving. It's a lot of fun.
I think. Have you seen some of those pumpkin carving contests? They're unbelievable.
No, I mean, every year we always talk about going. Like they have the thing at the zoo and some other things where they have all in the park and stuff, and they've got them all displayed. And we haven't been to that yet, but I've seen pictures, and it's just incredible what people can do with the pumpkin.
I'm so blown away. I know it. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Or the relief sculpture. Now that's the one that gets me. The pumpkin carving's pretty amazing, but it's those who do like the relief sculptures on it, that don't carve all the way out. I'm like, man, you guys, if you did that in marble, that's like amazing work. I'm like, how are you doing this with a pumpkin?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
People never cease to amaze me. I'm always flabbergasted at the creativity of people. And it's so wonderful. It's so loving. I mean, I know that we teach traditional fine arts, but man, isn't the creativity of humans just spectacular? I mean, it's, every now and then I even see like, man, my daughter does these wooble things, right? Like these little knitting or I don't know what it's crocheting or whatever, Yeah. And I'm like, who the heck came up with this? This is genius. I'm like, this creativity is amazing, or like my other daughter's using, plastilina clay, like oven baked clays, and she's doing all this fun stuff. And I'm just always marveling at the creativity of people. I just think it's so fun, so cool. And it's a blast when you see stuff. And that's where that pumpkin carving comes in because I just can't even fathom it. It's spectacular. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, some of those people probably can't fathom how you're able to paint the way you are. So everyone's talented in their own way, right? So,
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
well, every
It's
once in a while, I need to give you a compliment just to make you feel bad for insulting me and my hair.
Let's be honest, though. You throw out some pretty hot ones. I mean,
Oh, of
you're
course.
pretty good at pushing it out there. You do a pretty good job.
Yeah, of course.
You like to keep me humble.
Yeah.
That's why we call you the humble wizard, not because you're humble yourself, but because you dish out humble pie. I'm gonna bake you a couple pies and just put humble on it, and then just have you walk around with them in your wizard costume.
See, right there, I wanted to immediately give you an insult because I've heard that you're not a very good cook, so I don't want you baking me anything.
I can bake. I can't cook.
Oh,
Now
okay.
I can bake really, really well. My grandma, she taught me how to bake really, really well. I just can't cook. It's the difference between sweet and savory.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's funny. I'm not very good at like science or math, but baking is very. I mean, it's not exact, but it's more exact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you put this amount of flour, you have this kind of sugar. You know that these sweet flavors resonate and do this and this and this. It's the savory nature, and you've talked about this. If you guys don't know, Chad is a brilliant cook. And he's worked in the industry of restaurants for many, many years. He's got an amazing talent in more ways than one. He's not just an artist. He's a food artist as well. But I just can't understand how the foods interact, the flavors interact. You know, some people can, Chad. I'm just not there. That's not something I can do. But I will bake you some humble pie, and it's going to be delicious. I do want to show this, though. Wave Surrender says, that's me. I do the fully sculpted pumpkins. But here's the kicker. This is what I love what they really say here. The fact that they will rot away makes it truly freeing. I feel the same way about sidewalk art, chalk art. I love the idea that as soon as the next big rain comes, that beautiful work done on chalk on pavement or sidewalks, it disappears, it goes away. It's impermanent, right? The impermanence of it is exhilarating. I agree with you 100%, Wave Surrenders. Those fully sculpted pumpkins are brilliant. Chad's beard is brilliant. Oh, let's put that up on. Man, you get, one of these days, I'm going to get some love on this. One of these days, I'm going to get some love on this live stream because it's always constantly humble wizard this, Chad this, his beard's amazing. The reflections off his cranium are so glorious. You know, I mean, it's just.
Oh, Wave Surrenders has a compliment for you. So there you go.
I got one. I finally got one. This is awesome. Thank you, Wave Surrenders. You're very kind. I really do appreciate that. No, I'm very grateful. I have done some murals. In fact, one of my mentors was a muralist out of New York, I think for almost 25 years. I haven't done any in quite some time. And a lot of the murals I did were what I'd call medium scale murals. They weren't massive or very large murals. I was very fortunate to be able to train under Alvarez and learn a lot of the skills and techniques from it. One of my good buddies, Mitchell Kaufman, who's been on the show a couple times, well, once, and hopefully a couple more times. He is actually a muralist out of New York also and does murals. So I wouldn't say I'm a formal muralist in the sense that that's what I've done as a living or a career, but I have done them and I have participated with them in the creation of them and everything like that. And it's a lot of fun. It's an absolute blast. Seeing it come to life at that scale and then to have the visibility of it, right? You know, it's a whole different experience. And we teach our students, Wave Surrenders, just so you know, you have to step away from your painting. You have to step away from your artwork. You got to get away from it because seeing it from, a different perspective is huge. Well, with a mural, you have to see it from a different perspective, right? You're never going to be up close. I mean, you are, but you're not. You're not going to see it the way that you're doing it. And it's amazing when you see something that large have that big of an impact, and you can see it come to life. It's really fun, and I love murals too. I think they're brilliant, and I love that they're public facing, right? Kind of like you're saying about the pumpkins or the sidewalk art. Murals can, spray painting, graffiti art, all that kind of stuff. The lack of longevity is sometimes very, very fun. Nia Star says, got lost in drawing while listening. Fantastic. That's what we want. That's what we hope for. Chad, that's probably the biggest takeaway we got today, is that Nia Star got carried away in their drawing and creating and having a blast. It's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that she got lost so she didn't hear your foolishness making fun of me.
Actually, that's probably what brought them back in. Is that the jokes were just so good, the humor was so good that it broke the focus. I kid, of course. Well, Chad, I am so excited for our upcoming week. We've got another week of amazing classes with amazing students. It's always exhilarating to end the week because we're not open on Sundays and we don't teach on Sundays. It's always amazing to kind of end the week on these live streams with you and with our guests, with Thomas when he's on and everybody else. And it's always reinvigorating because then I come back in fresh on Monday and super excited to come back to it and teach and instruct and paint. And I just think it's a great way to close out the teaching week.
What kind of lessons do you have in store next week for your classes?
Oh my gosh, I've got so many. Mondays, it's oil painting. And so we're working on our Monday classes with my teen oil painters and my adult oil painters. We're working on our imprimatura, our underpainting, which they finished last week, and then building up our color mixing. So making sure that we're taking enough time to really find our colors, mix them up well, palette knife work, really building out those palettes that we want to paint with and work with. And then starting blocking in those pigments, right? Starting light and loose, starting with blocking in and filling those out. That's Monday. Tuesday, I move into watercolors, which is brilliant. We're going to work on glazing and layering and pigment mixing there. They're going to be working on their first full painting, which is really exciting, really cool. Tuesday, I've also got a couple of my Drawing 101 students. So we're coming in, we're talking about composition and layouts, making sure that we're in control of what we want to design as a still life, that the still life doesn't just happen. You get to pick your composition and your layout and how you want that to be achieved. I've got comics and cartooning on Wednesday where I'm teaching a lot about pen and ink, which you'll love, Chad. We're talking a lot about pen and ink, using our quills and our microns as well as Sharpies, anything we can get our hands on to control our values, our line work, our hatching and cross hatching, our stippling, all those kind of different effects. I've also got another watercolor class that I'll be working with. I've got, oh my gosh, at that point I'll have to reestablish and relook because I'm making it through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then I'll see what Thursday and Friday have. But lots of wonderful classes. Super excited for all of our students. I hope that they love classes as well. We've got Matt that says, when will we get Thomas back? Either next Saturday or hopefully in 2 weeks. Hopefully he's going to be joining us. He's busy and wrapped up on a couple of things, but hopefully we'll get Thomas back as well. What about you, Chad? You got anything on the docket for your classes that really jumps out?
No, we just hang out. We don't really do much.
Hang out, talk music and movies.
Yeah, I just give him a piece of paper and a pencil, and just tell him, here, draw something, and let's just tell Seth that we actually did something today, and let's see. So I obviously don't have as many classes as you, but the ones I have 3 classes right now. So I've got the cast drawing class, and so one of the things that I really emphasized for my students in that class was just to really slow it down, especially with younger students. They'll just go in and they'll just start coming in with like dark values and softer pencils, and they'll just really want to get in there and make it a finished piece. And I try to explain to them that in order to get a really nice realistic drawing, you really have to layer. And so I challenge them. Well, I don't challenge them. I force them by giving them a 2H pencil to start with. And I said, you cannot move on to an HB pencil or a B pencil until you finish rendering it with an H pencil. And then once you're done with the H, then you'll go in with a an HB. And then after that, then you'll go in with the 2B, but you've got to do layer upon layer upon layer. So this past week, we talked about pencil sharpening. That was a big deal because most students, when they come in, especially if they're a bit younger, they just use a pencil sharpener. They don't think about carving it out with an X-Acto knife and really extending the lead so you have a lot to work with, and why that's so important, and making sure the pencil is very sharp, and those kind of techniques we talk about. And then we talk about doing gradients and that kind of thing. But yeah, this first week I just had them draw. We have those white painted spheres.
Yep.
And that's it. That was the first class. And I explained to them, like, you would think this is just going to take 15 minutes, draw the sphere and shade it. But it took them a good 45 minutes. They're still not done because I was forcing them to take their time and to layer. And yeah, so it'll probably take all the next week for them to finish that before we get into actual cast drawings. So yeah, so they'll finish that up. And then for my drawing 101 class, we talked about today, same thing, a little bit of pencil sharpening, but mainly I've got some really new, fresh artists in there. And so we talked about the difference between H pencils and B pencils and how they work together, and using mark making and pattern making, those kind of things to create texture and that sort of thing. So next week, we start 2 to 3 weeks on measuring. So I do that up front in our drawing 101 class because I try to explain to them that if you know how to measure, you can really draw anything. Like, measuring is the whole process. You're constantly measuring and comparing objects and shadows and shapes and forms to each other. And so we look at using a grid, we look at using plumb lines, we look at using mark making, and then we look at using, the old traditional, using your pencil as a measuring stick. Yep. So we'll do that in the following weeks. And then my character design class, today we just looked at how to break a character down into simple shapes, how to use gesture drawings. We did a bit of tracing because I wanted them to trace actual characters and how that looks, what it looks like, and then take that tracing and create your own character based on that. We looked at the difference between comic book characters and like Disney-based characters. And then the last thing we did was we took some different shapes and tried to make characters out of, like, using circles and squares and triangles and those kind of things. So next week we start on emotion and motion and fluid. So we'll look at like facial expressions and using those gesture drawings to really emphasize different things about the character, showing their actual personality through their drawings. So that's kind of what we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. So
it's exciting. Matt's trying to get me fired up as we start to close out the last 10 or so minutes. He goes, talk about the upcoming Tron movie. Oh man, don't get me started, Matt. You know how to push my buttons, buddy. I'm excited. I'm hoping. I haven't really seen a whole lot more since that first trailer. As many of you know, some of you may or may not know, I really enjoyed the original Tron movie, but I also really, really enjoyed Tron Legacy. I really loved it. I thought the design of it was great. I thought it was beautiful. The music was absolutely, I mean, Daft Punk just nailed it. I don't think they were a perfect musical selection for Tron. That being said, 9 Inch Nails coming on to the new soundtrack, that's what got me hyped. I'm not a big Jared Leto fan. I think he's very talented, but I'm not always the biggest fan. I think too many times Jared Leto trumps the character, if that makes sense, right? Like, he doesn't. It's the same problem I have with Tom Cruise. Too many times you see Tom Cruise. I see Jared Leto in the movie. I don't see the character, and too much of him is overtaking the character when the character should be the most prominent aspect. I actually did a whole lecture on this in my video and film teaching days. But 9 Inch Nails as the soundtrack for the new one, yeah, I agree with Wave Surrenders. Daft Punk nailed it. But Trent, I'm telling you, 9 Inch Nails is going to be really good. I think it's going to be awesome. So I really hope they don't mess it up. And I really do hope the way that they could save this for me, and again, now he's got me all fired up, is I named my daughter Quora. Quora. I didn't do 2 R's. It's not Quorra, but I named my daughter Cora. And it's because of the line where he says she's bio-digital jazz. She's one of a kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always thought that was the coolest thing, right? Like bio-digital jazz. She's one of a kind. And that's how I feel about my daughter. And, you know, it's one of those things where if they bring back Sam and Cora at the end of the movie, or have somehow, because she's supposed to be the answer, right? She's supposed to be the solution to so many issues. And if, you know, the new villain or the new thing is invading the human realm, she's the only answer that can come back. So if she doesn't come back and solve it with Sam, I'm going to be really, really disappointed. I don't think those characters are coming back. I'm going to be really sad about it. But either way, Nia Star, I agree with you. 9 Inch Nails, it's going to be tough. I want to see who does it better, because I think both of those soundtracks are going to be superb. And I mean, the Daft Punk one is superb. Let's just put it out there. It is superb.
Yeah. I still listen to that when
Me too.
That's one I like to listen to when I go for a run. Yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, my fear of this one is that it becomes too Hollywood and too like what's the word? Not programmatic, but just like, you know, just the same kind of thing over and over and over again. Like, it looks beautiful, it looks amazing. Like the trailer that's out right now is just like amazing looking. My fear is the story is going to be too predictable. It's just going to be that just plastic, you know, just light, nothing really super deep about it. So that's my only fear. And seeing Jared Leto in there has me feeling that it's going to go that way. However, in Blade Runner, he was great. And
He was.
You know, but it's the same thing. When you see him, you're like, oh, that's Jared Leto. You don't think like he's that character. So that is the one downside about him. But yeah, I have high hopes for the movie. It's funny I say that because I'm just like critiquing it, but or just saying what I'm afraid of. I think if they go the Hollywood route, I'm going to be really disappointed. But if they go the route the way it looks right now, I think it's going to be phenomenal. So I'm looking forward.
I agree.
To it.
Oh, here you go, Chad, getting another shout out from one of your amazing students who loves you.
Patricia, my favorite old lady. It's so good.
My God.
So good to hear from you. I miss you. I haven't seen you in a while. I can't wait to just give you a hard time. I can't wait for you to come in to VAAS so we can just exchange sarcastic jabs. Cannot wait.
I think I almost just died. I think I just almost choked. I think I almost choked and died on a freaking Rice Krispie treat. You guys, the two of you, between Patricia and Chad, I don't know. I think I might die on here.
No, I love Patricia. I really do enjoy hanging out with her and giving each other a hard time. Yeah, so I look forward to seeing her again. So yeah, thanks for jumping on, Patricia. And yeah, it's a good time. It's always a good time with Patricia. So
absolutely. We are so grateful and fortunate to have everybody jump on. We've got just a few more minutes, ladies and gentlemen. So give us a like, follow, a share. It's been absolutely wonderful having all of you guys on with us. Again, we are the Visual Arts Academy in studio. This is VAAS Live, episode 37. We are so happy to share creativity with you. Chad walks us through his Silence Volume 3. I'm working on my 3rd oil painting. Just saying, Chad's only done a few pages of drawing. I have completed almost 3 entire paintings since we started this. I'm not throwing it out there one way or another, but you know, couple comic pages, 3 beautiful paintings.
fine.
Just saying, I'm teasing, of course. So it's so wonderful for you guys to jump on. Give us a like, follow, a share. Join us every Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram. Those are our platforms of choice, but hopefully you have a great experience with us. We're so grateful that you guys are having it. And Patricia's always throwing hot ones out there. She says, I am the hottest one in the nursing home. And, you know, she probably owns that, you know, and she says, miss you, monkey. You know, it's absolutely amazing. If you guys can't tell, we love creating an art community for everyone. And we hope that you enjoy being a part of this community. We're so grateful for each and every single one of you guys. If you're not able to take a class with us here in person, that's okay. Join us on these VAAS live streams. Create with us. I know that Nia Starr got carried away drawing earlier. I'm so excited. I think it's awesome. It's been absolutely wonderful getting to know Wave Surrenders a little bit. All of you guys over there, Crushy by She, BJ, Viola, Mrs. Fashions, Metal Adventure, Tom, all of you guys. It's so wonderful that you guys get to jump on and join us. And for everybody I didn't get to name drop, thank you for giving us a like, follow, and share today and joining us on the live stream. Chad, it's just the way to end a Saturday, bud. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love for you to maybe we'll each give a kind of a highlight of what we got done today. So why don't you give us a little?
Yeah. Let me move my chair here. So what I really wanted to focus on, if you guys can see this here, we'll see if I can zoom out and hopefully give you kind of a broader picture here or bigger image. So this is a 30 by 40 inch canvas, and what I really wanted to focus on was this left-hand section here of the blanket. I need to let this dry, and I'm going to come back in and add in some darker shadow here a little bit. But then I started dropping in my daughter's hair here. Let's see if maybe this is easier, Chad. Sorry for anybody getting motion sick. But I really started honing in on the hair underneath of the headphones, as well as some of the folds of the shirt that goes in here. It's a little abstract, but I think it reads and works really, really well. And when I put in the top of the hair and flow that down into it, hopefully that comes to life and you guys can kind of see that. And so really bringing in this backside of the blanket, making that whole section kind of come to life, that's kind of the whole achievement. So I feel really accomplished today. I think the piece is starting to come together. Chad, you and I have talked about the balance between texture and value, right? You want to have really strong value and you want to have really strong texture, but not at the expense of each other, right? Yep. I don't want the texture to overtake the value, and I don't want the value to lack the texture. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm super excited. I feel really good about what I was able to accomplish in a couple hours. And Chad, it looks like you may have put a couple lines down, maybe one or two, over the course of 2 hours. But what do you think? How do you feel? It's looking lovely. I kid. Everybody knows we like to joke and tease, but it's looking fantastic, buddy. It looks awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I'm pretty happy with kind of the design of it. I think it matches from two different angles. So now it's just a matter of going in all that detail you see over there. I need to start putting in over here. Right now it's just kind of the contour drawing of it. And then after that, I started putting in some of the what do you call that? The clouds that come behind it, the chemtrails or whatever you call those things.
Yeah.
And and then I'll start in the background after I get that. So hopefully next week I'll be getting into that background area. So there we go.
That's fantastic. It's absolutely lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap for the day. We will be back next week. Hopefully Tom will be joining us. Matt, Patricia, Nia Star, Wave Surrenders, all of you guys, everybody. You guys have been absolutely wonderful this evening. Make sure you give us a like, follow, and share so that you can join us next week. We want to know how your drawings and how your artwork's going. So if you get a chance, we'd love to see you again soon. I'm Seth Jones, and this is
The Humble Wizard.
That's right. We will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon.
See y'all. Yep.